What is going on? Jordan Sherwood, Wood on 1063 and FatCheckSports.com as we take a look at UFC on ESPN 27, which is tomorrow night, featuring a banger of a bantamweight fight between the former champion Cody Garbrandt and Rob Font. We've also got Carla Esparza and Jan Jalzan on the card in a very critical women's bout and some other notable names. Fat Check Sports, we're on fire right now, 38-15 over the last 8 weeks. Fight picks available at fatchecksports.com. And you can follow me on Twitter, Wood on 1063. We've got 6 selections in total for tomorrow night's card, including plays in the Ricardo Ramos and Bill Algeo fight, as well as the Claudio Silva Port McGee fight on the undercard. Another one we're paying attention to on the undercard that we are not releasing at fatchecksports.com, but should be an interesting one. Ben Rothwell, welcomes to the UFC for the first time in Chris Barnett. Chris Barnett is a super heavyweight that's making his UFC debut. A lot of notable wins on the regional scene, fought overseas in Europe. A very fun fighter. He dances to the ring. He dances inside the cage. And he's got some athletic ability for a guy that used to weigh 300 pounds. Notable wins over Kenny Garner and Walt Harris earlier on in his career. But here's the thing: Big Ben Rothwell is a big time favorite. I mean, he's like a minus 350, minus 400 favorite in a lot of places. And I think a lot of people are going to maybe look at heavyweights, look at the under flash knockout heavy. And certainly Barnett could do that, but Big Ben Rothwell's chin is held up all this time. I see a dirty fight. I see a Rothwell type of fight, clinched battles, dirty boxing. Take the over in this fight. Take the over at 1.5. Take the over at 2.5. I've seen it released in a couple of different places. So that would be my recommendation on that. I've also gone public and said Jack Hermanson defeats Edmund Shabazian. I think Shabazian has shown that while he's a big time prospect, he's got a lot of fine tools. He's going to struggle with guys that are going to push the pace. They're going to grapple and look to take him down. Got his first loss against Derek Brunson. He was actually, almost lost to the dentist as well. A couple of fights into his UFC career. Tucker Manson, I think, is a big time fighter at 185 pounds, and as long as he's not walking that center line and avoids getting clipped early on in the fight, I think he wins the fight and wins it. Probably 29-28, maybe a 30-27 scorecard. I could actually see the same thing in the co-main event with Carla Esparza, and as long as she remains the underdog, which she has been for quite some time, I think she gets by Jan Zaldan. I mean, again, this is a kickboxer in Jan that's very well schooled, 13-1, good takedown defense. But Carla Esparza just grinds out wins, and she's one of the best wrestlers we have in women's mixed martial arts. And albeit they might be split decision victories and she might be losing some 10-8 rounds and maybe there's some controversial decisions, but she's had her hand raised. And she's going to be putting herself in a position to fight for a championship yet again if she is just fundamentally sound, like she always is, works the takedowns, and gets her hand raised. And I certainly see that happening. We got to play in the Felicia Spencer fight versus Norma Dumont. So pay attention to that. We also have 2 plays in the main event, and we'll get to it. Cody Garbrandt, Rob Font. Rob Font's on a pretty good streak right now, coming off that very impressive knockout over Marlon Moraes. Cody Garbrandt looked good in his last time out. Rafael Assunção knocked him out at the end of the first round. Yeah, I think it was the first round. So good return, bounce back for Cody Garbrandt after those 3 consecutive knockout losses to TJ Dillashaw and Pedro Munoz. I picked the Sunsol to win the fight against Cody Garbrandt, so I faded Garbrandt. I don't like the matchup with Rob Font. I don't like the fact that even though he just knocked out a Sunsol, prior to that he gets in firefights. He's going to have come with the heavy artillery and handle the heavy artillery, and he did that against Thomas Almeida. He didn't have to do it against Dominic Cruz. Brilliant performance when he won the championship, but he tried to do that twice against TJ Dillashaw, and he tried to do it against Pedro Munoz, and he lost. And I just think that Rob Font takes strikes better and hits harder than Cody Garbrandt does. Sorry, I just was thinking TJ Dillashaw. I just think he does. And okay, couple that with he's coming off a long layoff, he's coming off an injury, and he's coming off a long bout with COVID. Now he looks good in the scale, and he's a former champion, and he's a guy that's got dreams of going down to 125, winning that championship, and then being the 135-pound champion. I just don't think it's the right formula unless he somehow has changed his ways. And we've seen that before, like Justin Gaethje, the perfect example of that. A guy that like changed up the way that he fights, and he put on a brilliant performance against Tony Ferguson. Cody Garbrandt's going to have to be kind of like that. He's going to have to revert back to his athleticism, maybe his wrestling, and not worry about knocking out Rob Font. But I just think, again, recipe for disaster if he tries to do that. But we'll see. We'll see if he does. Big time fight, though, in the bantamweight division. A lot of title implications, certainly reserved for that one. So, FatJackSports.com, Wood on 1063. No VSiN appearance today. So, if you got some questions, you got some fights you're leaning towards, hit me up on Twitter, Wood on 1063. Happy to answer them. But again, 38-15 over the last 8 weeks. We are on fire. FatJackSports.com. Get the picks and watch the fights.